Hi, I'm Lorna Hewson, lead learner and co-founder of Jigsaw Learning and co-author of the text Collaborative Response. In Collaborative Response, there are three foundational components that create the essential conditions for supporting the needs of all learners in your classroom and in your school. One of those foundations is the development and use of the continuum of supports. The purpose of this video is to share the key principles behind the continuum of supports. In a traditional response to intervention framework, we see the ideas around universal supports, targeted supports, and individualized supports. This is formatted in the shape of a pyramid to reflect the idea that the majority of our students' needs will be met through the universal practices in a classroom. Through our work in our own school, we recognize that the framework could also be used to demonstrate responsive and actionable supports for our students. It could be formatted into a menu of ideas that would support teachers as they collaboratively problem solve in providing the best possible solutions for their students. We now support the idea that the establishment of a continuum of supports is essential for all schools to organize, articulate, and tier the strategies, accommodations, and interventions available to support the diverse needs of students in every classroom. Every teacher has an abundance of strategies that they use in their classroom to support the needs of all learners that is actually quite unique to that teacher. So how do we access that incredible expertise that is occurring in each classroom? A comprehensive continuum of supports, developed and refined over time, helps us to inform the collective question, so now what do we do? Using the strategies that each teacher has contributed to the continuum. In essence, each teacher has a toolbox of strategies, and we open up each toolbox to make it available to everyone. An administrator we worked with recently said it was opening up each teacher's toolbox to create a tool shed for the whole school. In Collaborative Response, our continuum has 4 tiers of support to address the universal, targeted, and individualized needs of every student. The continuum of supports provides multiple strategies that can be accessed in a student's time of need. Each child has a jagged profile, and there might be times in their lives when they require more intensive supports in a particular subject or less intensive when they're supported by what is provided in the classroom. The continuum is intended to provide actionable supports that can be implemented for students with relative ease. It may mean that we need to learn from each other about particular strategies. A couple of things to note about the Collaborative Response continuum. The colors on our continuum are purposefully blended. This is to state that the lines between each area of support are not always clear-cut. What one teacher uses for all students, another teacher may only use for some. In addition, you'll note that the bottom of the continuum narrows to indicate that over time, a school should be able to articulate the 5 to 10 non-negotiables that they would see in every classroom. These are the big rocks of common practices across the school. The continuum of supports begins in the classroom. Tier 1, focusing on classroom instruction. This is all the things that we do for every child in our classroom. This is articulating good teaching practices. Our second tier is the additional tier to a typical 3-tier model. What do we do in the classroom, some of the time, for some students? This is differentiated instruction. We wanted to clearly articulate the supports that each teacher provides in their classrooms to ensure individual students' needs are met. It is a complex concept that is sometimes difficult to describe, but every teacher has hundreds of strategies that they use to attend to the individual needs of their students. The third tier is focused on how we support students across our school. Are there things that we do across the school to support individual students or perhaps small groups? This may be small group reading intervention based on a specific skill, or perhaps counseling sessions for social emotional wellness, typically provided by someone other than the classroom teacher. The fourth tier is designed to articulate the resources that we may have access to from external partners to attend to the individualized needs of students. These supports are usually accessed through referrals. They may include psychologists, mental health supports, or perhaps district personnel who come to assist from outside of the school. The continuum of supports is not about labeling students. The purpose of the continuum is to articulate what the adults in our building will be doing to provide support for students. We encourage listeners to be cautious about the language you use. Instead of saying Juan is a Tier 4 student, we would say Juan is a student who is currently accessing Tier 4 supports. We have a number of examples of menus of supports on our website that you can explore. Go to jigsawlearning.ca to access these samples as well as many other resources to support the work of collaborative response in your school. Thank you for joining me. Please reach out if you have any questions. Take care.